Hello there, Kieran Stack here. Welcome to the latest installment of the Service Advisor 101, a blueprint to becoming a high-performing service advisor. Now, today we're moving on to element 5, which is about practicing emotional intelligence. So let's get started. So this is on page 18 if you're following along in the book. As I've said before, if you haven't got the book yet, what are you doing? Get the book, support me, support yourself, support your team, and become a high performer as you journey through your role. Okay, so EQ, practice EQ. EQ stands for emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. We've also got a spiritual quotient. We've also got a intelligence quotient, IQ, and we've got a physical quotient as well, your PQ. But we're working on EQ today. So let me just explain what EQ is and why it's so important. A 2015 study by TalentSmart identified that EQ accounts for 58% of your success both in your professional and personal life. It is the most important and valuable intelligence. It's all well and good knowing about the vehicle, about the car, but high performers know the real gold is in understanding human behavior and psychology. Unlike IQ, which is fixed from the late teenage years, EQ is fluid. It can grow and shrink throughout your life. Studies also show that an increase of 1% in EQ can increase your salary by $1,700 per year. That's $1,700 per year. Imagine growing by 10% in your EQ by this time next year. How good would that be? So I just want to read the back of the book for just a second and just give you an overview. It said, have you ever wanted a roadmap or a blueprint to help you let me repeat that. Have you ever wanted a roadmap or a blueprint to help make your job easier and aid you in becoming more effective? Let it be said, service advising is not easy, but it doesn't need to be difficult either. It's important to remember you are not a vehicle technician. You are a customer technician, and understanding customer behavior is your superpower. This 30-minute read will give you some new ideas and strategies along with opportunities for reflection, journaling, and creating a personal plan to take you to the next level of service advising performance. So probably the most important line in that intro in the back of this book is it's important to remember you are not a vehicle technician. You are a customer technician, and understanding customer behavior is your superpower. Again, this is EQ. This is emotional intelligence in action. So we're talking right now about the first segment, which is high-performing service advisors have high levels of self-awareness. Self-awareness is your ability to understand why you think and feel the way you do. Imagine having an increased ability to be able to recognize what you do well and in which areas you need to improve. It would almost be like being able to see yourself operating from a bird's eye view. High performers with high levels of self-awareness are happier at work and have more efficient strategies, whilst being aware of and constantly working on their shortcomings. So self-awareness and being self-aware is a pillar of emotional intelligence. Self-awareness is one pillar of emotional intelligence. The rest of them we'll talk about in later sessions. So self-awareness is pretty much exactly what it says in the tin. Being aware of self, or having the ability to become aware of self. I've said in the piece here that it's like being able to see yourself operating from a bird's eye view. So you are looking at yourself from above, like an out-of-body experience, if you will, and going to yourself, gosh, what you're doing there is crazy. What you're doing there is not right. What you're doing there isn't appropriate. Hey, pull your head in, change your approach, and that's self-awareness. As opposed to not having that awareness of self and just going with the flow and hoping for the best. You can increase your level of self-awareness. Some of us are born hyper self-aware. Again, our experience in life to date, how you were raised, how you were conditioned, where you went to school, who you hung out with, how educated you are, all affects that in your experiences in life. But self-awareness is the ability to be able to see yourself from above. Now, high performers with high levels of self-awareness are happier at work because we've kind of already touched on this, they can predict things happening because they're self-aware. Gosh, I'm about to say this, but then you hold off on saying it because if you say it, it's going to land you in this next trouble. That's the self-awareness piece. And again, we're going to talk about self-regulation on the next piece, but self-awareness comes first, the awareness of self. They have more efficient strategies whilst being aware of and constantly working on their shortcomings. Because they're self-aware, they know that they're not good in certain areas. The beauty of not being good in certain areas is you know that you've always got something to work on. Again, like I said at the start of this conversation, is that a 1% increase in your EQ can increase your salary by $1,700 per year. Like, that's significant. Becoming self-aware will cause you to be a better employee, a better worker, which will then open opportunities for you to grow into promotions or to earn more money because of your value or your incentives, or you become a better salesperson. Again, the role of a service advisor is a salesperson, and you can earn more money because you're becoming hyper self-aware. The more efficient strategy, have more efficient strategies, all whilst constantly working on their shortcomings. So let's have a quick reflection on this one on page 19. How do you rate your personal level of self-awareness? If you rate yourself a 10 here, wow. It would often indicate that you're probably not a 10. There's always opportunities to improve. And getting your manager involved in this as well, you might say, yeah, I'm pretty self-aware and probably a 7 or an 8. And your manager might go, Kieran, you're definitely not. You're definitely not self-aware. What I want you to do, Kieran, is so your level of self-awareness is a lot lower than you think it is. So I need you to work on a few things. Okay, so what would you like me to work on, Mr. Manager? Well, I think you need to slow down before you speed up. Consider what you're about to say. Now, you've heard me say think about your thinking a few times in these sessions. Slow down. Consider what you're about to say before you say it. Consider your body language. Consider your dress. Consider how you're smiling. Consider how people are going to interpret you based on your tonality, based on your personal grooming. All those small things are factors in creating a great first impression. That starts with self-awareness. And again, I'm going to be careful what I say here. You may get offended by what people say about you in this feedback session. Don't be offended. You're a grown-up, you're an adult, you're mature, I hope, to a certain level. And the feedback you're getting from your manager, which I hope will be delivered in a tonality and an approach that's appropriate, and that he's not condescending or upsetting, but more of a, hey, I really want to help you grow. I think there's opportunities for you to grow in your self-awareness here, because I think you're lacking in these specific areas. So I need you to be a little bit quieter, because you're actually shouting at the customers. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not shouting at my customers. You're shouting at me now, Kieran. Can you please regulate yourself? And we'll talk about regulation shortly. First of all, you must become self-aware, and then you'll just start to notice these things everywhere. It's like, I'm going to buy a red car, and suddenly you start to see red cars everywhere. That's the self-awareness. It's about noticing on RES. So your ability to see things because they become common to you. Your ability to see things repeatedly because they're all around you now. That's self-awareness in action on a personal level. And it's important that you consider where there's opportunities for you to improve. And as soon as somebody tells you where your shortcomings are, you'll become hyper aware and maybe hypersensitive about them, and you'll start to notice them. You'll start to notice where your shortcomings are. I implore you to investigate them. I implore you to consider them. I implore you to get feedback from someone who you would like to replace or like to learn from, and that hopefully is your manager or a senior advisor to help you become more self-aware in different things that you currently do. We'll move on to self-regulation shortly, which is going to help you to regulate or to change your approach based on now being aware of self. I hope today's session was useful, insightful, caused you to consider it. Perhaps re-listen to it again, and you get the value twice or even 3 times. Keep looking for opportunities. Grow in your skills. Grow in your mind. Do not settle for mediocrity. Be the best you can be. Until the next time, I'll see you on the next one. Take care. All the best. Bye.